Gaikoku Gamers.
Bite-sized.
Welcome to another episode of Gaikoku Gamers Bite-Sized. I'm Darryl Benson, and I'm here to talk to you about kind of what we were talking about before with Miyamoto saying, screw casuals, basically, and seeming very upset by that, which is a good thing, for once. But we're going to go ahead and talk about what that means for us, the gamer. We already know that Miyamoto thinks that casuals should just jump off a cliff. But what we don't know exactly is how that's going to translate to us. Now, of course, that means that they're going to be focusing more on real games, seeing as how badly we fit, and games like that have sold recently, the Wii Fit U, or how they want to call it, and how much disdain Miyamoto has for casuals in general. I think from here on out, the Wii U is going to become a gamer's console like it should have been from the start. Now, what I think is kind of curious about that is that the system obviously started off in the eyes of Nintendo as a successor to the Wii, hence Wii U. Which means that the Wii U at first was conceived to be a casual system. I think the signs point to this as the fact that we didn't really get that many traditional games in the beginning. It felt kind of stagnant. They were just kind of letting third parties do stuff as if it was the Wii. And the few games that they did come out, they did the Wii Fit thing. They made an HD version of Wii Sports, and they're not fucking moving. They're just not moving. And the games that are moving are Mario Kart and 3D Mario World and those type of games, real games. And I think they're finally starting to realize that the people who are always going to be there for them are Nintendo fans and gamers in general. So this is the stuff that we talked on really quickly yesterday, but what I really want to hit on is what this means for the future of the console, the Wii U in particular. The 3DS is it's fine, whatever, but the Wii U is the one that has a lot of question marks around it right now, and I think Miyamoto's statement is wonderful, and I think we need to start looking for some clues here. I'm not going to talk about the games that we already know, okay? So I'm not going to talk about, Bayonetta 2 and X and that type of stuff. Yes, we understand they're there, and yes, they're not casual games. Great. But I'm going to look at some clues here, and I think we started seeing some clues with the Mario Kart 8 DLC that we got yesterday. Now, in case you didn't watch our other video, I quickly showed how to download that DLC. If you bought Pack 1 and Pack 2, Pack 1 comes out in November, Pack 2 comes out in May of 2015. If you bought those packs in advance, you got today, right now, you got today the multicolored Yoshis and the multicolored Shy Guys, which are actually pretty cool. On top of that, you have spaces in your character select and course select screens designated for those future courses and characters that will be added later. Now, we already know who some of those characters are and some of those additions are, and basically there's 3 franchises I want to talk about today. In particular, I'll talk about other ones, but the first one being obviously Zelda. We already know that we're getting a Wii U Zelda game. We already know it's going to be open world, although it's not going to be open world as we know it in other games, which I actually think is a good thing. I was probably the only person in the country who was worried when they said it was open world and didn't really explain further when they first unveiled the game, because Zelda is always a very story-oriented game. Well, at least it has been probably since past the NES games. And what I really like about Zelda games is that you really kind of feel like you're progressing. And the reason why you feel like you're progressing isn't because of the levels that you've conquered so much as the story that you've learned. And it's a little hard to do that if you can just walk straight up to, Ganondorf. No, that's not going to work. So I think it'll be still restricted in the sense that, well, the same way that Zelda games have always been restricted, but I think it might be open world in the sense that there might be more side quests type things to do instead of it just being general. This is one land, this is another land, this is another land, this is another land, this is another land, all with their own boss. I think it'll be a little bit more open than that, if that makes any sense. But anyway, we already know that's coming, and a big clue that we know that's coming, other than the trailer that we saw, and a big clue that they want us to be hyped up for it is the fact that Link is a playable character, and they're going to have courses dedicated to his universe, the Zelda universe, in Mario Kart 8. Now, we need to start taking some other clues from some of the DLC and apply it to this logic. If they're going ahead and making DLC characters and content in Mario Kart for an upcoming game in order to drum up hype, then let's go ahead and look at some other stuff, including Captain Falcon's Blue Falcon hovercraft from the franchise F-Zero, which is my favorite racing franchise of all time. That beats out Gran Turismo, that beats out whatever. The Excite series, whatever you want, arcade, whatever, it doesn't matter, it beats it out. And that even includes such titles as Daytona USA, which is actually my favorite arcade racing game of all time. I think that this franchise is better, particularly X. Wasn't the biggest fan of GX, but I was a huge fan of X. I was a huge fan of, oh bloody hell, what was the one on the Game Boy Advance? Oh well, that's somewhere, I don't have my gamepad next to me. Wow. Can't be a very big fan if I don't know the name. But I was a big fan of the original, the Super Nintendo one, and whatever the hell, the Maximum Velocity. Oh, jeez. I should play on better. No, seriously, Maximum Velocity, Super Nintendo version, and X were my favorite. And even if GX was a bit of a hiccup, not graphically, just the feel of it just felt different. I think anyone who's played GX understands it. It's a very different game compared to X. X has had that je ne sais quoi type of quality to it that I just really kind of grasped, and I felt that way as a kid, and I felt that way today. And it's still probably one of my most played N64 games, and I have a lot of them. Anywho, the fact that we're getting a hover car from him and rumored possible level for F-Zero as a franchise in Mario Kart. Now we have to also add this to the fact that Captain Falcon and his Blue Falcon hovercraft have already appeared once before in a Wii U game in Nintendo Land, and it's on mini game session. I think that's a huge sign that maybe they're actually, for once, seriously listening to gamers, because F-Zero seems to always be one of the top games in the surveys that they post for IPs that people want being brought back from the dead. And now that they're focused on gamers and they say screw casuals, F-Zero is about the most hardcore game I think Nintendo has in their arsenal. So I think that would be the perfect choice to go ahead and give to gamers a show that they still care. If you don't think it's a hardcore game, I challenge you to go through the hardest difficulty modes in GX, for instance. Yeah, good luck. It's not going to happen. It's like Rogue Squadron 2 level of difficulty. It's technically possible. There's YouTube videos of people who have completed it, and they make it look easy, but if you try it, you're going to die. Anywho, moving on. So, the other franchise is Animal Crossing. We're going to be getting the Villager and courses dedicated to the Villager, which is interesting that they're putting so much emphasis. In fact, I think if there's going to be a new IP, not a new IP, but a new game announced for the Wii U next, it will be Animal Crossing, because unlike F-Zero, F-Zero doesn't have a character. It's just a cart, so it doesn't have a character dedicated, at least not that we know of, to the DLC content in Mario Kart 8, whereas the Villager is a character and will be in Mario Kart 8. I would love it if Captain Falcon made it in, but I'm not going to put all my chips in one basket there. I actually think Animal Crossing is the perfect next game to make. Now, I say that as a pretty good fan of Animal Crossing. When I say pretty good, I mean it's a good franchise. I have my fun with it, but I definitely kind of get bored of it after a while, and I certainly wouldn't peg Animal Crossing as my next must-have game out of all the franchises from Nintendo I can think of. Be that as it may, Animal Crossing is a huge seller. Huge to the point where it's probably the only franchise I can think of outside of like literally a new Mario, a 3D Mario game, that would be able to rival Smash Brothers and Mario Kart in sales. I think it's arguably a perfect third game in that, succession, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, and then Animal Crossing, in order to push Wii U consoles. And I would not be surprised if we saw a release, nonetheless an announcement at least, in 2015. Hopefully before then. Now I'm going to start talking about some other stuff that isn't directly tied to the DLC in Mario Kart. Now that there's this direct, interest to engage the gamers again on Nintendo's end, I think there's another franchise that we might be seeing soon, especially since Retro Studios is currently not doing anything. They finished Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and while that was a good enough game, it's no system seller. There is one game in particular that they worked on the BAS, which is a system seller, and that is Metroid Prime. Now, I don't have anything to back myself up on this. It's just called intuition. But I refuse to think that they made Metroid games for the GameCube and Metroid games for the Wii, and they're just going to sit out for the Wii U. I think that they're going to make a Metroid game, especially since Metroid Other M by Team Ninja sucks so damn bad. If you like that game, hey, I'm sorry, but seriously, that game sucked. I hated the presentation, I hated the controls, I hated the gameplay in general. And I think the Prime series would be perfect for the Wii U. Because think about it, the screen could act as a scanner, similar to what you do gameplay-wise with Fatal Frame that's out in Japan. Well, it'll be out in Japan for the Wii U, where you kind of scan around you and you can see ghosts. Picture the same thing, except you're scanning plant life, you're scanning aliens with your gamepad as if, that's your visor and your helmet. I think that would be really quite fun. And it wouldn't be the most original idea as far as gameplay elements go. It's obviously been done before. Like I said, Fatal Frame has done it before. But I think it might increase that creepiness value, because you won't necessarily be able to play while you're scanning. So maybe you're scanning this in, and then all of a sudden something pops out. You have to, whip down the gamepad down to playing level again and start playing with the visor off, since it's not pointing at the TV screen. It'll know to turn off the visor when it's not pointing at the TV screen. Other than that, we're going to be getting Star Fox here, which is another sign that they care about the hardcore gamer. And again, I have no proof for this one, but it would be nice to see Wave Race return. Wave Race for the GameCube, in my personal opinion, was not a very good game, and Wave Race for the N64 was stellar. It is still probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like, it is that good. Wave Race from the GameCube was a disappointment, and we never saw it come out on the Wii. So, to be fair, with HD graphics, how would you like to see realistic water this time around? I think that'd be pretty cool. Be it as it may, I'm really excited. I think this is the perfect time to become a Wii U owner. And I said it before and I said it again, it's my third Wii U system. I lost faith 2 other times early in the console's life, which is understandable. But this is the first time I ever actually felt any kind of confidence. And while third-party companies like the giants, like Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, and Activision are tending to float away and make snide remarks on Twitter and such, gamers seem to be more attached to the Wii U than ever. The attachment rate right now is really high. It's the second best-selling system right now for next-gen consoles in America. It's the second best-selling system right now in Germany. And really, other than the Vita and the 3DS, it's the best-selling home... Well, actually, it is the best-selling home console in Japan. Drastically beating out the PS4, which, of course, is trouncing all competition in every other region in the world that it's for sale in. I still like the Xbox One. I think it's a fantastic system, but, if I had a fire or something and everything burned away, I could only save one next-gen console. I'd be saving the Wii U right now. In fact, I think the only reason why I would save the Xbox One, besides Destiny, is the fact that I could sell the Xbox One to get a Wii U and my games back. But seriously, I'm really proud to be a Nintendo owner at this point. While the 3DS might not have been able to catch my attention as well as I had hoped, um, I think the Wii U has definitely really been a solid choice. And if they go ahead and support it like they should have in the beginning, from now on, I think the system might actually enjoy a pretty healthy lifespan, and it might not die out as soon as people thought. And maybe they won't have to go ahead and worry so much about that quality of life platform that they're making. Maybe they can push that back a little bit. Anyway, it's already been a little bit too long. It's been 15 minutes, and that's about time for me to go. And so this has been another episode of Bite-Sized Gamers. Bite-Sized Gamers. Bite-Sized from Gaikoku Gamers. I'm Darryl Benson, and we will see you next time, in which hopefully I'm not so tired and I won't be stumbling over my own tongue. Good night.